welcome to the deep dive. So you've shared some really interesting sources with us today. An article introducing Philo, this new AI-powered browser, and also a pretty detailed FAQ document.
Yeah, it looks like a potentially transformative piece of tech.
Right. So our mission today is really to dig into this, understand what Philo actually does, and how it's trying to change how you interact with the web.
There's a lot to cover: task automation, reporting, security.
Exactly. Multitasking, even smart shopping features. Let's jump right in.
Okay, sounds good. So this deep action technology seems to be the absolute core of it.
Yeah, the sources really hammer that point home. It's
Yeah.
not just a browser reskin.
No, definitely not. Traditional browsers, they're like portals, right? You look through them. Philo wants to be, well, an active intelligence inside that portal.
That's a good way to put it. I mean, think about those examples: scheduling an Outlook meeting or sending a Slack message directly from the browser.
Without opening the actual apps. That's the kicker.
Yeah. And the FAQ really builds on that. It suggests Philo understands what you're trying to do and then sort of orchestrates the steps needed across different sites or apps.
Which, if you're juggling multiple accounts, multiple tools all day, that's potentially huge. It's not just saving a few clicks.
No, that's a whole different workflow, potentially.
And what seems really interesting is that level of kind of contextual understanding. It's not just following a simple script. It's grasping your goal and figuring out the multi-step process. That's a leap.
Definitely a leap beyond just passively viewing web pages. Okay, so speaking of leaps, what about these automated visual reports?
Ah, yes, that's another big feature they highlighted.
The article used that example of analyzing the U.S. job market, pulling data from LinkedIn and Reddit, and then presenting it visually.
Right, and you can see the potential there immediately. Think about businesses needing market insights.
The FAQ mentions things like competitive analysis, tracking stocks, HR market research.
Exactly, stuff that usually takes dedicated software or just a lot of manual grunt work digging through data and making charts.
So this could really level the playing field a bit, maybe, giving smaller businesses or teams access to insights without needing, a dedicated data analyst.
Potentially, yeah. It's about automating that data gathering and visualization. It saves time, sure, but it also makes that kind of analysis more accessible.
Okay, but if it's doing all this interacting with data and accounts, security has got to be a major concern.
Absolutely crucial. And they seem to know it. The article mentions military-grade security.
Which sounds impressive, but what does that actually mean in practice? The FAQ had more detail, right?
It did. It listed specific things like end-to-end encryption, so your data's scrambled, unreadable to others, secure storage for your passwords and credentials, protection against common web attacks, vulnerabilities, and options for things like biometric login or multi-factor authentication, extra security layers.
That does sound more robust than many standard browsers offer out of the box.
Yeah, and for anyone handling sensitive client data, financial information, whatever, that offers significant peace of mind.
Plus, the continuous scanning and automatic updates mentioned in the FAQ, that's key for staying ahead of new threats.
Definitely. You need that proactive approach.
All right, let's shift gears a bit. Multitasking. The article mentioned viewing pages side by side.
Yeah, and it even tied it to that trend of people using multiple monitors, especially in Europe, apparently.
So how does Philo handle this? The FAQ talked about a spatial workspace, which sounds different from just tabs.
It does. It sounds like it's more than just splitting your screen or having lots of tabs open. The idea seems to be creating persistent, customized layouts for different tasks.
Oh, okay. So you could have like a research setup with specific sites and documents arranged one way.
And maybe a separate communication setup with email and chat apps arranged differently, all within the same browser window, but organized spatially.
That actually makes a lot of sense. Instead of drowning in tabs, you have these defined spaces. The FAQ mentioned reducing cognitive load.
Right. Less hunting, more doing. And they even hinted at sharing these workspace layouts for collaboration, which is an interesting angle.
Very interesting. Okay, and building on that theme of integration, cross-platform automation.
Yeah, this ties back to the deep action idea, but across specific major platforms.
Like the article mentioning interaction with Google Calendar to summarize your schedule, or LinkedIn to publish articles.
Exactly. And think about why that's important. That statistic about digital distraction costing U.S. companies, what was it, $650 billion a year?
Wow, that's staggering.
It really is. So the idea here is centralization. Philo acts as the hub.
The FAQ had examples, didn't it? Like pulling info from an email into your project management tool?
Yeah, or scheduling social media posts across different networks from one place. It uses APIs, those connectors between services and extensions, to make it happen.
So it's about keeping you focused by reducing that need to constantly jump between different tabs and apps and logins.
That seems to be the cool benefit. Less context switching, more flow.
Okay, and let's not forget online shopping. That's a huge part of many people's web use. The e-commerce market is massive.
$5.8 trillion globally, yeah. Philo seems to want a piece of simplifying that.
So how does it help? The FAQ had a list of features.
It did. Things like automatic price comparison across different stores, aggregating reviews so you don't have to hunt them down.
Price history tracking, too. That's useful.
Yeah, seeing if the price has gone up or down, securely storing your payment and shipping details, obviously, and even automatically finding and applying discount codes.
Okay, that sounds like it could genuinely make online shopping faster and maybe save you some money. More informed decisions, less hassle.
That's the promise, definitely.
Now, stepping back a bit, Philo isn't appearing in a vacuum, right? AI is being integrated everywhere.
No, absolutely not. The article mentioned Google's AI search features as part of this broader trend. AI is becoming embedded in productivity tools across the board.
So where does Philo fit in? Is it just another example, or is it doing something unique?
The sources position it as being on the leading edge. And a key aspect seems to be its adaptability. The FAQ mentions it learns from your behavior over time to become more personalized.
And how does it compare to things like ChatGPT or Google's AI search results?
That's a really important distinction the FAQ makes. Those tools are great for generating text, summarizing information, answering questions, but Philo is designed to act.
Act on the web interfaces themselves.
Exactly. Perform those multi-step tasks, interact with buttons and forms. That's the core difference bridging knowing and doing online.
Okay, that clarifies things. So who is this really for? Who gets the biggest benefit?
The FAQ gives a pretty specific list. Knowledge workers, digital marketers, exec assistants.
Salespeople, financial advisors, content creators.
Right. E-commerce pros, project managers, basically anyone whose job involves complex online workflows, synthesizing lots of information, or juggling multiple platforms constantly.
It makes sense. Those roles would feel the pain points Philo aims to solve most acutely.
Definitely.
So looking at the big picture then, what does the arrival of something like Philo signal about the future of the internet, the future of browsers?
Well, it really points towards this evolution of the browser from just a passive viewer into something more like an intelligent assistant or agent.
An active partner, almost.
Yeah. The sources suggest a shift away from just consuming content towards actively engaging with and manipulating online resources through the browser. More intuitive, AI-driven interaction.
It implies a future with more unified digital experiences, maybe, where AI is just baked in.
That seems to be the direction, along with hopefully more sophisticated approaches to privacy and security becoming standard. The FAQ even touched on this idea of moving towards more intentional technology use.
That's a really interesting final thought. Not just using tools, but using them with more purpose, aided by the tool itself.
Precisely. It really makes you think about what happens when the tech becomes more proactive.
Okay, so let's quickly recap. Philo is pitching itself as much more than a browser. It's an AI assistant aiming to seriously boost your productivity and streamline how you work online.
Through things like that, deep action automation, the automated data analysis and reports, strong security, that spatial multitasking, and cross-platform integration.
Right. So the final thought we want to leave you with is this. How might your daily digital life change if your browser wasn't just a window, but an active assistant?
Yeah, what new things become possible when technology starts anticipating your needs and acting as more of a proactive partner in what you do online?
Definitely something to consider. Think about which of Philo's features we discussed might actually make the biggest difference for you and your own workflows. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.